US imposes a 145% tariff on China. Unemployment across China, people miserable. The US-China trade war is extremely fierce. Most recently, China announced immediate restrictions on Hollywood film imports in retaliation for President Donald Trump's tariff hike. Regarding US tariffs, they have just corrected the tariff rate on Chinese goods to 145%, not 125%. It's not that Mr. Trump didn't make it clear, but you forgot to add the 20% tax related to fentanyl that he previously rewarded China. 20 plus 125 is 145%. I hope you remember that clearly. China has repeatedly declared that it will fight to the end in the escalating trade war between the world's two leading economies. However, we really have to ask ourselves whether anyone will really win in this war. Currently in China, many factories have been hit, with goods being packed up and not knowing where to send them. Many businesses have opened their eyes to find that they have lost orders worth millions of dollars, while workers face the risk of mass layoffs. An air of pessimism is pervading the country, known as the world's factory. Many estimate that more than half of the factories will close this year. The heyday of the never-ending machine is over. For decades, the United States has been China's main export market, importing more Chinese goods than any other country in the world. Now it's less. But in 2024, China imported just over $140 billion worth of goods, but sold nearly $440 billion to the US. By product, consumer electronics is the product China relies most heavily on the US market. The US market accounts for 22% of China's total exports of this item. Despite trade tensions, China still exports traditional manufacturing products to the US. The US accounts for 19% of China's total exports of household appliances, 17% of textiles and clothing, and 17% of optical and medical instruments. These are the industries that have been hit hardest by Mr. Trump's tariffs. The 145% tariff is essentially an embargo, cutting off the flow of goods from China and the world's largest consumer market. The devastating impact of this blow is being felt across China and the shipping industry, which is heavily dependent on trade with the US. In recent days, strange scenes have appeared at inland ports. Empty containers have piled up like mountains, reaching record highs. 7 layers of containers are stacked on top of each other. This phenomenon has attracted widespread attention because 7 layers is the limit for stacking containers. Take Ningbo Zhoushan Port as an example. Empty containers are stacked like a great wall, and about 20,000 truck drivers are facing a shortage of goods to transport. A Chinese goods supplier shared images of piled-up inventory after Mr. Trump's 34% tariff took effect. Our order is worth over $50 million. This year we have orders until May 2026, but because of the US tariffs, we are taking a huge hit. If you are a small startup, it is not a problem because the goods shipped are not enough to fill a container. But for us, the impact is very heavy. Our profit margins when supplying large quantities are already paper thin. But with a 34% tariff, it is like a ragtag mess, no profit left. The company's escape plan is to move its goods to third-party warehouses in other countries. That's the only way to save itself right now. On April 7th, the owner of a garment factory posted a video saying that the entire Chinese garment industry is sitting on fire. Everyone in international trade is scratching their heads. A 50% tariff is scary. Who will place orders at that rate? Of course, some garment companies are still busy, but money is hard to come by. US orders only make up a small part of our business. But there are a lot of garment factories in China. If they all move to Europe, and there are no more US orders, then think about it. Won't domestic competition become even fiercer? Domestic sales are weak this year, and people simply have no money to spend. So how can this market improve? This is a picture of a closed garment factory. The person who filmed the clip said that the garment industry is in serious trouble. All the machines in his factory are about to stop working. This year is going to be very difficult, the person said. A similar scene, workers are loading goods for another garment factory. The person filming the clip said that as soon as Mr. Trump swung the tariff hammer, the consequences hit the garment industry. The factory had originally scheduled orders through July, but now more than 6,000 down jackets have been put on hold. Products that were ready to ship are now piling up in warehouses. Both online and offline sales have struggled this year. Even live streaming sales are no longer effective due to sluggish consumer demand and weak domestic sales. As international trade weakens, More and more exporters are returning to the domestic market, leading to a growing surplus of production. This makes the garment industry like a pressure cooker that can explode at any time. This business concluded, this is not just panic, it is worse than the pandemic period. Many garment business owners may lose everything they have built their whole lives. The same is true for many other manufacturing sectors. Foreign orders were canceled, and goods were piled up in warehouses. A factory employee also posted pictures of an empty factory. A blogger's video showed 2,000 gas stoves stuck in a warehouse. This person doesn't know what to do with them. This is the current situation. Factories are closed. Production has stopped. Hundreds of workers were laid off on the spot. The People's Daily once asserted that the US's tariff abuses would impact China, but the sky would not fall. However, many workers felt that the sky had already darkened. One blogger wrote that the tariff situation was like rubbing salt into the wound. Many industries were facing serious challenges. Suddenly, the machine stopped working. The sky darkened. Yesterday, everything was fine, but today the boss announced the disbandment. They had only been back to work for 2 months after the New Year holiday, but now they were all going home. This person heard that most factories would close after Labor Day. Another post said that after 3 days of work, the factory suddenly closed. All employees involved in foreign trade were forced to take leave. Another video shows the factory shuttered. Workers are heading home in droves, unsure of what the future holds. A manufacturing worker shared an image of what was left on the factory floor.
关税战开始了之后
After the trade war started, let me tell you about the production situation on our side. A factory that produces audio equipment for export has stopped orders. A factory that produces hardware stamping machines has announced layoffs. Another factory that exports plastic products has started canceling orders with plastic trading companies, and the materials they ordered are now useless. Conversely, some industries have seen a sudden increase in the prices of certain imported materials. For example, the price of PGDG, a material that is used to make disassembly, has increased. This person explained that because some imported materials have no domestic substitutes, prices have naturally increased. Those who have inventory are now holding on to their goods.
关税最大的输家可能就是我们
The biggest losers due to tariffs are likely to be factories in Dongguan. After all, Dongguan is known as the headquarters of the world. There are 14,000 local enterprises, and 60% of them depend on international trade and exports. We cannot export ourselves. But think about it, if these companies can't deliver, their upstream and downstream orders will definitely collapse. There's a Taiwanese-invested factory near us. They initially only gave 1 day off for Qingming Festival, but now they are giving 5 days off. The real problem is that to survive, these companies have to switch to selling domestically. But that means they now have to compete with smaller factories like us. We were already focused on the domestic market, so now everyone is caught up in this fierce competition. It feels like we are all being dragged down. And the blogger is not against the government's response. Why does he criticize those who only shout defiance online? Such people may not realize that they are the ones paying the price. There are warnings that the impact of the trade war could lead to a widespread social crisis in China. Unemployment has been rising in recent years. This year promises to be even worse, as a record 12.22 million college graduates enter the workforce. Now the trade war could push factory workers out of work. In addition, many middle-class factory owners may go bankrupt, potentially creating an unprecedented wave of unemployment in China. What we are seeing is that instead of making concessions or negotiating, China has declared that it will fight the US to the end in the tariff war, launching tit-for-tat retaliations for every tariff move by Washington. The two countries are in a competition of courage and red eyes. Both sides had important bargaining chips, staring each other down, and the one who blinked first would lose. But now, both sides had losers. How would this battle end? No one knew. But its devastation was certainly no less than any war that had ever occurred in history. What do you think about the impact of policies like this on the people of both countries? Is the price too high? Let me know in the comments. Now, goodbye, and see you again.